Good evening. I'd like to welcome everyone to our January 16th regular Board of Education meeting. If you would, bow your heads for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And stand for our pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We have any special recognition, Ms. Ferry?
No, sir, we do not. Not this evening.
Okay. Any public participation?
No, sir.
Okay, having none, I'll move on to approve the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Baker, second by Ms. Coggins. Any questions, concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. I need a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Baker. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Superintendent's report. Dr. Barr?
Good evening.
Good evening.
In the superintendent's report, we do not have an update for the operations report, but we do have an update for the curricular, instructional, and technology report, and that will be a PBIS update brought to us by Ms. Adrienne Bozon, Director of Project.
Good evening, everyone. How
Good
are you
evening.
today? Okay. Good evening. I'm Adrienne Boisson, the Director of Project Aware, and also your PBIS District Co-Coordinator, along with Christopher Williams, who is our Project Aware Assistant Director. And so we're just going to bring you some data updates for our PBIS schools through last school year. The slide that you're looking at right now is our Cohort 1 schools. These are our schools who began their PBIS implementation in 2012-2013. So we're 6 full years into their implementation now. And that first blue bar is where our schools were with their average daily office discipline referrals, that first blue bar. And the last one is last school year. So you can see every school in our first cohort has had a dramatic drop in average daily office discipline referrals. 3 of our middle schools are now at less than 2 ODRs per day. 3 of our middle schools have less than 2 ODRs. 2 of our middle schools have less than 1 office discipline referral per day. And our high school has dropped from 17 office discipline referrals a day down to less than 5 office discipline referrals a day in their 6 years of PBIS implementation. Cohort 2, these schools started PBIS in the 2015-2016 school year, and that was actually only a half-year implementation for those schools. So with 2 full years of implementation, all of our elementary PBIS schools have now now reflect less than one office discipline referral a day for the entire school year last school year. And at our PBIS meeting, at our district leadership team meeting in December, we also gave a progress report for where these schools are so far in office discipline referrals this school year so that they know the type of progress that they're making this year. For all of our PBIS schools in 2017, the state gives a recognition, and you all recall that in December, our schools who are emerging and operational were presented with their certificates from Georgia DOE. We have our 3 operational schools in the county for last school year were Middle Ridge Elementary, Clements Middle School, and Liberty Middle Schools. And then we've reflected some of the data, some of the achievement and demographic data from our PBIS schools. First, we have our student attendance. The schools that are highlighted here, 5 of our PBIS schools exceed the state attendance rate of 77% of students with less than 6 unexcused absences for the school year. Our school climate star rating, we have 8 schools with a school climate rating of 4. 2 of those schools made a jump from a 2-star rating just the previous school year. And we have 1 school, Fairview Elementary School, which has achieved a school climate star rating of 5. We have moving on to the next column, 3 schools in the county show a mobility rate of greater than 30%. 2 of our elementary schools and 1 of our middle schools have a high mobility rate. And then finally, our last bit of information that we're sharing today is the percentage of schools, or the schools that have a free and reduced lunch rate greater than 70% are the schools that we've highlighted here. So of our 15 PBIS schools, only 3 of them have a free and reduced lunch rate less than 70%. So, as you recall, in December, we awarded the PBIS recognition from the state to our schools that were emerging and operational. In November of 2017, the Georgia DOE released new recognition criteria. So all of our schools who have been involved in PBIS will have a new criteria for being recognized for next school year. So they've changed the operational status requirement. Now a school will only be deemed operational if they have 85% of their students with 1 or no office discipline referrals. They've also added a distinguished recognition. Any school with 95% of their students at 1 or no office discipline referrals can be deemed distinguished. And that is not a recognition that was available to our schools before. And we have 3 schools in the county who have looked at our distinguished recognition status and are aiming for that for next year, for the school year. Finally, the state has added bonus consideration. So if any school is short of the recognition level, but meets one of the bonus criteria, they can still be considered. And I put stars there to indicate the things that our schools are actively participating in. So all of our PBIS schools are reteaching classroom modules offered by the Georgia DOE, and their teams are redelivering that to their schools. We also provide youth mental health first aid training for all school staff in the county, and we hold those trainings monthly. Sources of Strength is available in all 3 of our high schools. It's an upstream suicide prevention program. And we are rolling out trauma-sensitive schools learning modules and resources for our administrators this school year. Finally, I just want to highlight for you some of the strengths of the Newton County Schools PBIS implementation. I represented the school system at the Georgia PBIS State Strategic Plan Update in October. For GAPBS conference was held in Duluth last fall at the end of November, and 5 of our Newton County schools gave presentations. Well, 4 of our schools gave presentations, and then our district coordinators, myself and Christopher Williams, also gave a presentation. Our schools, we had 14 of our schools represented at the conference, and they are implementing best practices, and we have a PBIS Canvas page for all of our coaches and administrators so that they can share the best practices that they're implementing in their schools that they got from the conference. We've noticed increased administrative support at all of our PBIS schools, and fundraising for incentives has grown tremendously at our schools, that our schools are investing, and they're getting their students and their parents also to invest in the success of PBIS at their schools. And then finally, for growth, we are adding 3 PBIS schools for 2018-2019. Rocky Plains Elementary, Hurd Mixon Elementary, and South Salem Elementary will all be now in our 3rd cohort of PBIS schools. Okay. Any questions? All right, thank you for your time.
Well, I have,
Oh.
yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
I just noticed there wasn't any data for Rise Academy yet. I guess this is all last year's data, so is there,
So Rise Academy is implementing PBIS.
Right.
The information that we have, well, since this is their first year being open, we don't have the achievement data and other data for them. But also, Rise isn't under our county's PBIS umbrella in that they're not under the state monitoring for PBIS. So you can have PBIS in a school without being under state monitoring. So they wouldn't be eligible for PBIS recognition.
I see, but we're implementing it there. I know
Yes.
we are in a different type way, but
Yes, they have the PBIS
card.
reward system,
Yeah.
and they do have a set of expectations as well.
okay.
I just had one question, Ms. Poisson.
Yes.
The second slide that you had, the years, I know you said it was last year's data, but when you say last year, because it didn't have a date on there, you mean last school year, or do you mean like 16, 17, or do you mean like 17 in general on the chart?
That was 17-18.
So it's this school year then, 17, 18?
I apologize, 16-17.
It's 16,
Last-
17.
Yes, all of that was for last school
Okay.
year.
I just needed clarification on
Yes.
the year. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
I'd just like to get a copy of that presentation if I could, so I could go over it a little bit.
Sure.
more depth. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Send me the presentation.
Yes, absolutely.
Mr. Chairman, that concludes the superintendent's reports, and those items are ready for action.
Okay, excuse me. I need a motion to approve items A and B as presented by superintendent's report.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Coggins, I have a second by Ms. Baker. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. We have no old business, new business. Item A.
Mr. Chairman, items A through C, there are no changes, and those items are ready for action this evening.
Having no changes, and we've had discussion on these items at our work session, I need a motion to approve item A.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second by Ms. Baker. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item B.
Item B is no changes to item B, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, no changes in item B. I need a motion to approve item B.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Johnson. Any questions or concerns?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I missed enrollment report here, a question on the enrollment report, RISE. We have a total enrollment of 69, and I believe we had a target date, a target number, if I can use that, of 100. So, and I'm assuming that we had resources to manage that number, but we're at 69 now, so anything that we're doing with the extra resources, if I'm interpreting that correctly?
It's actually just temporary because they've met with all the school staff and students have returned to their base schools. So that's why they're showing a lower number right now because of the transition from first semester to second semester. A lot of the students are back in their base schools.
So we'll have a better
Yes.
understanding come February.
Yes. Get more information.
More information, okay.
About who's there.
But the funds themselves, let's follow up, the funds are just kind of, they're set aside for 100 kids. If we don't have 100 kids, then we're not spending those funds. They're just waiting until we have 100 kids again. We'll spend 69 kids' worth of funds. It's not like they're reallocated somewhere else.
No.
Right.
No.
That's the question, I think.
Except that the personnel expenditures that are associated with RISE
With 100
are the
kids.
same.
Sure.
Regardless if there's 69 or 169, they're the same. As a matter of fact, I don't think that they have hired everyone because the numbers don't warrant hiring. So the dollars are still there in case we need to hire somebody, but we haven't had to. So
Right.
I think
They're
we're saying the
available.
same thing.
Yeah.
Let me try it again for simple explanation.
Uh-oh.
I'm assuming if we had the staff for 100 and we got 69 now, if I was playing the devil's advocate, I'd say, well, gee, I need a sub at the east side. Call the Rise Academy and get one. Is that possible?
I hadn't really thought about that, Mr. Johnson, and I would have to talk with Ms. Cumming and with Mr. Berry as the coordinators of that program. I'm not sure how many kids are there at each session and how many of those teachers are needed at that particular time. I'd have to follow up with them.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I will.
Thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second on item B. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item C.
No changes to item C, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, no changes on item C. We had discussion last week. Need a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Coggins. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item D.
There are no changes to item D unless there's discussion needed.
Okay, I need a motion to approve item D.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Coggins. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Bailey. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, same, motion carries. Item E, I mentioned last meeting that you all should be deciding as to who you want to nominate as board chair and vice chair during this meeting. Have y'all given any consideration as to who your nominees are?
I would like to nominate, is this how this works? I just start saying who I'd like
Yes,
to nominate? All right. I would like to nominate Almond Turner as the board chairperson.
I'll second that.
It's not required.
That's right, it's not required.
Yeah, that's why I'm looking at him. He just has to agree.
Okay, I'll accept. Okay, we need a motion on it.
Vice Chair.
Do we have to do
For
both?
vice chair, you would need a motion
Okay.
recommendation for the nominee for the vice chair.
I did the chair, so.
Who would like to be vice chair? Let's do it that way.
I would like to nominate Eddie Johnson as the vice chair.
I appreciate that, but I prefer not to be.
Okay. I would like to nominate, just keep, Abigail Coggin as the vice chair.
That's fine.
Okay, we have a slate of nominees for chair and vice chair, and they are Almond Turner as chair and Abigail Coggins as vice chair. They have a motion to approve, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Baker. Any questions or concerns or regrets? Having none, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item F, we need to decide who's going to be the delegate and alternative delegate for the Georgia School Board Association Summer Conference. I'd like to nominate Mr. Bailey.
So if you don't speak first, you get nominated. Because I see how this works. I was racing to the microphone. No, that's fine. I enjoyed it last year. It was fun.
Okay, we need a nomination for an alternative, an alternate.
That's gonna be you, Almond. That's gonna be you, because the Abigail won't be
I
there.
won't be there, and Shaquila has to,
I'm the district director, so that's gonna take me out.
I'd like to nominate
Congratulations.
Alderman Turner as the alternate delegate.
Okay. So we have a list of people on the slate for these positions right here for the summer conference. I have a motion to approve, please.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Coggins, second by Ms. Baker. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Motion carries. Item G, we need 2018 legislative liaison.
I always enjoy doing this unless somebody wants to do it, so I would like to nominate myself.
I was gonna
because
nominate
I
you.
always go to the Capitol.
I always
Y'all know
enjoy
I'm
you
a-
doing it, too.
Thank you. Y'all know I have a mouth on me to advocate, so.
Fine with me. Okay, we have a person on the slate to be nominated for the legislative liaison, and that is Ms. Baker. Get a motion to approve.
So moved.
second.
Motion by Mr. Bailey, second by Ms. Coggins. Any questions or concerns? Having none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. Item H,
In item H, the superintendent recommends the approval of personnel recommendations made during executive session.
can I get a motion to approve item H, please?
So moved.
Motion by Mr.
Second.
Bailey, second by Ms. Baker. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
All opposed, motion carries. For those of you who are new coming to one of our board meetings, the reason we went through this fairly rapidly is because on that last meeting, it was our work session, and that's where we had discussions of any issues that we may have during this process here. So that's why we went through everything relatively quick, so we just want to make everybody aware of that. So at this time, we're just having the discussions of other matters of interest. Mr. Bailey?
No, sir.
Ms. Coggins? Mr. Johnson? No. Ms. Theory?
Just that we will be participating in an 8 o'clock weather webinar, and so hopefully we'll know more information about the weather and its impact on school tomorrow, and anything related to school tomorrow. And hopefully the information will give us enough information so that we can notify parents this evening.
Thank you. Ms. Baker?
Of course. Thank you. No, so since I am the legislative liaison again, thank you guys. So the Capitol Day, Capitol Watch Day for GSBA District 4 is scheduled for February 27th. So if any of you guys are interested in tagging along with me, you are more than welcome. It's at 10 o'clock a.m. So just let me know.
I would like to.
Okay, perfect.
You said 10 a.m.?
10,
It's January
no, February
February.
27th.
Okay. Any other matters of interest or concerns? Having none, I need a motion to adjourn, please.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Johnson, second Ms. Baker. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
No opposed, same. Motion carried. We stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Just like Photoshop a picture of us.
What's this one for?